your audience into your story with curiosity. You've described the characters and the conflict. Now it's time to pull the audience even deeper into your story by describing the circumstances. This is an often overlooked aspect of storytelling, even from some of the best professional speakers. Far too often, they hurry through the circumstances of their story to get to the climax. Well, if you do that, you leave your audience outside looking in. If you want to make a deeper connection and make the people in your audience feel like they're part of your story, describe the circumstances. Use as many senses as possible: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, even smell if you can work it in. To help you understand the importance of using these details, consider the two versions of the same story. Version 1. It was in late September 2010. I was sitting in Great American Ballpark with my son Brendan and about 30,000 other Reds fans. For the first time in 15 years, the Cincinnati Reds were about to qualify for the playoffs. It was an exciting night, and as the Reds' young right fielder Jay Bruce stood into home plate awaiting the first pitch, we were anticipating a very exciting Reds victory, and he didn't disappoint. He hit the first pitch over the center field wall, and excitement turned to pandemonium. It's a night I'll never forget. Now try version 2. It was an unusually warm September 28th in 2010, around 10 p.m. I, my son Brendan, and 30,151 other Cincinnati Reds fans, most of them wearing Reds jerseys, stood in anticipation and excitement. For the first time in 15 years, the Reds could qualify for the playoffs if they won this next game. You could literally feel the stadium shaking beneath your feet. You could feel the crunch of spent peanut shells under your feet, smell the spilled beer in the air. You could feel the sweat rolling down your back. And you didn't care because it was an exciting moment. The Reds' strapping young right fielder Jay Bruce stepped to home plate in anticipation of the first pitch in the bottom of the ninth. And excitement turned to pandemonium when Bruce lifted the first pitch into the warm September air, and it dropped over the center field wall. Strangers were high-fiving, friends were hugging, fireworks filled the air, and the boom of the fireworks and the smoke filled and engulfed the stadium. It was an exciting night that we will never forget. Now, which of those two stories felt more like an experience? Well, if you said number 1, you might want to go back and watch the tape. See, version 1 was more of a report where you got to look inside of a story. Version 2 is an experience where you get to be there. Think about the sensory aspects, feeling the stadium shaking, the peanuts under your feet, the smell of the beer that had been spilled around you, the sweat rolling down your back, the sound of the crowd going from anticipation to excitement to sheer pandemonium. That is a visual, kinesthetic, auditory, and smell experience that pulls people into your world, puts them right there in the stadium with you. Now, it's important when you're describing the details not to get so carried away that you're giving every single detail. You're not writing a novel. You're giving people an image, an experience. Let them fill in the details. I didn't say 30,000 people wearing Cincinnati Reds shirts with a number 6 on the back. Or I didn't say that people high-fived with their right hands. Give people just enough detail and they can fill in the rest. But the key is to give those circumstances using all the senses. Create that experience. And the more specific you can be with numbers, for example, the more believable the circumstances. If I had said, 20 or 30,000, that gives you a rough idea. But by saying 30,151, The audience knows that's a number that stuck with me because I was there. It meant something to me, and it makes it more believable. So describe your circumstances. Put the audience in the scene with you. You'll create a deeper connection, and you'll create an experience that they won't soon forget. So your homework for this audio section is to look at your story, to make sure that you're describing your scenes in detail enough that puts people into the scene, creates more of an experience. And look especially for those different senses, the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, and the smell. Until next time, this is Michael Davis of Speaking CPR reminding you that you have a story that someone needs to hear.